Welcome in, you guys. I'm Miss Alissa Shirk, and as someone who has worked in education for 25 plus years, my favorite thing to teach ended up being believing in yourself. So that's what we focus on here at the channel. You might be catching me on YouTube, which is my newest endeavor. I also have the Dissolving Fear podcast on Apple and Spotify. If you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, like the show, leave a rating and review. Today, we are focusing on one really awesome way to help yourself overcome obstacles. So obstacles are not something that we always see coming. Sometimes they come out of nowhere. We don't see them coming. We don't expect them. And sometimes they leave like just as quickly as they came. But I'll tell you a little story, and then I want to talk about my advice for overcoming obstacles in your own life, no matter where you're at in the world or how old you are as an adult. So my story is from my experience as a teacher, because I am still a full-time teacher. And so I was working at an elementary school. This is where I actually got most of my inspiration for the coaching business I have now, for the Dissolving Fear podcast, for everything that I do. And so I worked with at-risk kids at the elementary school, and I had a third grader in my office. And he had like a really rough morning at home. There were all these problems, and even as a little third grader, he felt like he had the weight of the world on his shoulder to solve some of these problems at home. And so I just told him, this problem that you just described to me, it sounds super stressful. I'm sure you had like an awful morning. I'm sure you're kind of relieved to be here. And I just want to let you know. And so as I'm telling him this, I have all these elephants in my office, on my desk, in my classroom, because elephants inspire me. They remind me that not all obstacles are permanent. Some obstacles are temporary. Sometimes like you wake up and the problem is already solved itself, or you can just go around the obstacle. Sometimes you have to like charge full speed ahead into the problem and solve it yourself. But sometimes you shouldn't stress. And so I show him my elephants, and I tell him how, I have a perspective that if he's in third grade, he might not have the same problem and the same concern in fourth grade. By the time he gets to fourth grade, this problem may not be an issue anymore at his house. Maybe his mom will solve the problem. Maybe it will just disappear and it won't even be an issue. But just to know that not all obstacles are permanent. So I'm telling him about the elephants. I just happen to have them in my office, all the stuff. And then sure enough, later that day, he got in trouble at recess. He ends up in the principal's office. And so I go check in with the principal. Hey, how'd he do in your office? How's it going? She's like, it was good. He had like a little issue at recess, but he just kept talking about elephants. He kept saying how, this won't last forever. This problem might just go away. And it's not always going to be this hard. And so I don't even think I said anything to the principal. What am I going to tell the principal? I was showing him my elephants and talking about obstacles. That's not exactly in the social emotional learning curriculum that I teach, or that I used to teach at the elementary school. So anyway, I go back to my office and my elephants, and I have since moved on. I teach high school, but I have all of my elephants in my house. And so I put them by the entrance because it's a little superstition. It's a little feng shui, actually, that elephants, they do remove obstacles from our lives. And if you don't like the elephant idea, here's what I recommend. This is my one takeaway recommendation, and it can change your life as far as how you view setbacks and obstacles. What I want you to do is print a picture of yourself back when you were like overcoming something. Maybe you were walking around on crutches because you had a broken leg. Maybe it's a picture of you kicking butt like during your breakup or during your divorce and coming through the other side. And what I have in my entryway, along with my little elephants and everything else, in my entryway, I have this picture of my daughter at piano lessons. And it's just a reminder that I can overcome obstacles. So this was actually like a low point for me. So this is what you could print to remind yourself how far you've come. Like print out something that you overcame. In my case, this represents me overcoming life as a single parent, life as a new single parent with young children. I left my husband when my kids were 1 and 4. And I mean, I took them to piano lessons and it was a drive. And I would work all day and then I would pick up my kids from daycare or school. And then I would drive them out to like this farmhouse for piano lessons because I just thought it was like important. I wanted them to like understand how to hear music, and I don't regret it. And even though I was like so tired and life was a little bit overwhelming, I would still enjoy taking them to their piano lessons, and it's something that I did. Would it be easier to like get home and just make dinner and watch TV? Yes, but for some reason, I really wanted to pour into my children and take them to piano lessons at that time. And I'll tell you kind of a weird story. Like, even now, my son, he can learn a song on the guitar and then he can like play it on the piano. It's super weird. I mean, I can't do that. I can play piano, but he can somehow like transcribe the music from guitar to piano and play. Super interesting. So if you don't like the idea of buying an elephant, I mean, this is a bank, an elephant bank. This is a fake plant. And then I also have like a really big picture of an elephant in my entryway of my house. But you can also just put up a picture of a time when you were overcoming and you were being an overcomer. And like I said, like sometimes it's up to us to overcome obstacles and to work really hard, but then sometimes when all else fails, relax. When all else fails, especially if you're like dealing with someone else's issues, if you can't fix that obstacle in the moment, if you can't change somebody else, when all else fails, relax. Maybe that issue, it won't be an issue tomorrow. Maybe somebody else is going to solve it. It's not always up to us. So ask yourself, like, is this obstacle something that I can go around, save it for another day, just ignore for a little bit? Or is it something that needs to be dealt with like right now? Or is the obstacle just like something completely out of your control that you just need to wait and see? So I hope this episode was helpful. Perhaps you already have like a picture around your house where you were like persevering through illness, injury, hardship, setback, whatever it is. Post that up in your house to remind yourself that you can tackle obstacles. And also remind yourself that sometimes you don't have to. You can just watch and wait and enjoy life in the meantime. That's kind of like the reminder that the elephants give me, is like, sometimes you can just say a little prayer and life will miraculously move mountains to move that obstacle out of your path. So thank you for being here. I have told myself that in 2026, I'm going to post inspirational episodes, messages, right when the inspiration strikes. And so you might see more solo episodes from me if you're tuning in on the Dissolving Fear podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you're joining us on YouTube, welcome. This is a new channel for me and it's a new adventure. And I hope to see you more here in the future. Like, share, and subscribe so that you get those notifications next time I publish a video. And have an awesome day.